City this past weekend. We had a great event on Sunday. It was amazing.
It was a great event in the park. The holiday.
The weather held out. There were no rogue clouds dumping rain on us.
And
actually, we had sunshine. We had a lot of sun that day.
It turned out to be a fantastic event, you know.
So yeah, and I just want to thank everybody who came out and with their school supplies and contributed. Yeah, there we are, collecting the school supplies for some schools up in the Bronx. Elise is going to bring them up for us. But people really showed up and were very, very generous with donations as well. So we have money to shop with too for some specific needs for the schools. And I think I sent you a picture of what Elise's car looked like.
Yeah, I'm trying to dig it out. It's sort of
so Ray brought thank you to Ray. He brought all the supplies up to Mount Vernon for us. And deposited them into Elisa's small little car.
I got it right here. Money earning Mount Vernon. Here we go.
Yes.
There's what it looked like after the show.
There was not an inch of space.
Yeah.
It's in the front seat too. Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So, and then we also had our Amazon wish list where people, if you couldn't come to the park or you didn't feel like schlepping in a notebook, you could purchase supplies through our Amazon wish list, and those got sent to Elisa's house and filled up her entire living room.
Yeah, here's that.
Picture of her couch.
Here's that.
The picture of her couch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we actually had to remove pencils from our wish list because we got so many pencils. We have enough pencils for every single child.
Every friggin' kid out there could write the Bhagavad Gita. We got so many.
What is that? It's like a chicken in every pot and a pencil in every hand.
Right. There you go. Here's
yeah, it was really great. I just want to thank everybody who helped us do this. It's going to be a lot of fun, just delivering the stuff to the schools, and we'll take some pictures and we'll have them up on the Women of the Pit Instagram when we do that. So, and there you go.
There you go. Listen,
stay in school, kids. Don't end up.
Listen, and this is what I'm telling you here. Listen, stay in school. Do not end up like this kid right here, Springer from SSD Control. So help me help you, kids. Stay in school, get an education. Do not end up like Springer from SSD Control. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So we saw some great bands. Started out with Worlds of Chaos. Sonic Bomb kicked it off.
Yep.
Worlds of Chaos, Butterbrain, and then My War, of course.
Yeah, and then this is a great picture right here.
There you go.
Yeah. This is the guy, if you don't know by now, this is the guy that kind of makes the My War thing tick. He's the musical director. Mm-hmm. That's Zum. He's been on the show many times. Neil Zum Osberg, who created the Sansamp bass driver and, was involved with Fryette and Sound City amplification. And is a kid that I grew up with that played with me in Antidote for many, many, many years, and who is playing with us in My War, and who's sort of the musical director behind My War,
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And
good to see you, Rat Bones, in the park. That was that was good. That was good to see you. Yeah, so that's the man right there. Playing that Travis Bean bass guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see who else I have here. Oh, this was a cool treat. This was Jamie from SSD and Mark McKay from Slapshot, who got up and played. We did, we did Crucified by Agnostic Front with the two of them.
That's great. So they came down. Jamie's a teacher as well. He brought us some supplies, so thank you, Jamie.
Oh, is that right?
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
He hooked us up. Rocco was very generous. He brought us giant buckets.
Rocco comes through. There's
of supplies. Yeah.
There I am playing the guitar. You know,
Yeah.
that's kind of my, I don't give a fuck. I'm just going, I'm just going with what got me here. I'm not putting, I'm just playing with with my glasses on, and I don't give a fuck.
Right.
So, yeah, it was fun. It was
So,
a great.
yeah. Do you have any
It,
of Worlds of Chaos?
you know what? I don't. Steven just
Okay.
sent me right now. He sent me a couple of My War, and of course, these guys
Yeah.
kind of bring the house down. You
Yeah.
know, at the end of My War, and that's that's
Oh yeah, Tony.
yeah,
Yeah.
Tony and Nate from No
Yeah.
Weapon doing. They did the Winter Wolf song. We learned the Winter Wolf song, Blue Lights.
Yes.
So
And
that was pretty.
you have Yusef in the back there too. She got on stage with them as well. And some
Yep.
of our supplies are actually going to go to her school. So
Right.
she's up there in the Bronx. She works as a teacher's aide in the special needs classroom. So we got her some special things that the kids need. You know, the special kids use like those loop scissors we had on our list, and those little fidget toys and stuff. So yeah, little sensory
Yeah.
books. That's what we were
Cool.
collecting specifically for the special needs classrooms. Yeah.
Here's one of our our
Queen.
nearest and dearest friends and supporters. That's
Yep.
Cindy
Cindy.
Half Rats from Lunatics, who is a big part of My War. She
Uh-huh.
plays guitar in My War on a bunch of songs now, more and more every time, and she's a big part of the My War thing now. So
Yes, of course.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
She was out
yeah,
there.
yeah. She played Beat on the Brat.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, Chris
My waiting
Contos.
room.
Chris Contos representing the Bay Area Forbidden. What's going on, Contos? Scontos.
And don't
Yeah.
forget, Cindy's got a show on Sojourn Radio tonight, 7 p.m. All fresh music, all fresh cuts. So tune in, Sojourn Radio.
She's fresh, exciting.
Exciting.
There you go. Now here's a real driving. Here's a
Yes.
real driving force behind My War. That's Ryan Bland from Ache. You know.
Incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. He Ryan Bland delivers the goods every time. You know, every time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
he's fantastic, man. He's oh, and then there's this one. So there's this character here, this lunatic. So
Rochelle was amazing. Yeah.
nobody listen, nobody out there, don't nobody look at my wife's boobs out there, right? It's like
Nobody's looking. No, Rochelle was amazing. Incredible.
yeah, that's my wife, Rochelle. She sang 2 songs.
Yep.
She did Misfits Bullet, and
Yep.
she did TSOL Code Blue.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is sort of a, you know, there you go, in all her glory.
Yes.
My significant other belting it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Singing about having sex with dead people.
Well, you know, I mean, yeah.
Don't you boys know any nice songs? No, we just know songs about having sex with dead people. Sorry. Anyway. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I want to listen. A couple of shout outs here. Rest in peace, Frank Beard from ZZ Top. Rest in peace, Dolly Parton. Rest in peace, Tim Curry. And rest in peace, our friend Vincent Vlado, a guy I know who had a public access show years and years ago, who we would see every time we went to Chiller, who was a big supporter and who would be in the chat room for the show very often. So rest in peace, Vincent Vlado, man, who was a big supporter of this show. You know?
Yeah, we lost some good ones.
We've lost a lot of people, man.
Yeah, Dolly Parton, that one was tough.
Jolene, Jolene. Jolene, Jolene, Jolene.
Jolene.
Yep. You know
her
who
voice was like, her voice was so unique. So unique. I mean, nothing like it. So good. Yeah. Oh well. the music lives on. But I just want to thank everybody again for coming out to the park. Everybody who set the stage up, everybody, you know, the production team, all the bands, everybody who traveled down to see us. I mean, people traveled far and wide for this one. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Huge thank you.
And
we really appreciate
it. Just a reminder, if you're looking, the next show that we are doing is 2 weeks from Saturday in our beloved Tompkins Square Park. It's the end of the world as you know it. RBNX, Fugget, Tree, Silence Equals Death, and Bad Luck 13. This is going to be a wild day in the park. So, hey, Mimi Fugget, you were excellent. You
yes,
were excellent,
absolutely.
Mimi. Yeah.
Mimi was great.
Yeah. Do I have? Let me see.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing her with her, you know, with her band Fugget. They've got some cool music and everything, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Yep.
Bring the Band-Aids for that one.
Absolutely. 100%.
The splint.
Yeah, that's going to be a wow one. So, all right. Well, very cool.
Okay.
I'll pull you. Hey, want to shout out Nobody's Perfect, NYHC. Is that you, Junior? Who is that out there representing Nobody's Perfect, Brooklyn style? What's up, Vinny Dope? Good to see you, man. Rap Bones, love you, bro. Chris Contos, see some of the gang, Ray Hogan, so on and so forth. I'll see you in a little bit. Let's bring our guest on.
Great. All right.
Okay. See ya. Well, that's what's up. This is it. You bought the ticket. Now take the ride. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. We are sponsored by the Texas Silver Rush, Generation Records, Women of the Pint, Gamma Bass Guitars, and Minty Fresh Presents are a promotion company that put on hardcore metal shows at Locals Bar in Manalapan, New Jersey. Founded by Chris Gaulis of Bulldoze and Frankie DeAngelis of Silence Equals Death, the shows are all ages with plenty of free parking. The kitchen's open all night and the bar till 2 a.m. If you're a band looking to play and you don't totally suck, or if you do suck but draw a fuckload of people, reach out to them at mintyfreshpresents@gmail.com. Ticket pre-sales for events are available at mintyfreshnj.com. Check them out on Instagram at Minty Fresh NJ and help spread the word to support DIY hardcore and metal in central New Jersey. Minty Fresh Presents. That says, let's clear the deck. Let's make sure everybody's okay. And let's bring our guest on. Here we go. Here we go, yo. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, today's guest is an American guitarist hailing from the Tar Heel state of North Carolina. He's primarily known for his work with the bands Stuck Mojo, Guardians of the Jukebox, and, of course, Fozzy. Please welcome, coming at us from the Eat a Peach state of Georgia, our old friend, the Duke, Mr. Rich Ward. Hey, man.
Sure, it's so good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, bro. How's things in Hotlanta?
It's good, man. It's really good. I mean, this is a great music scene. It always has been. You know, so many great bands have come out of this city, and I was so lucky to be here at the right time when the late 80s, early 90s, Atlanta got hot and Stuck Mojo was ready. And it's when, you know, two waves cross in the night, we hooked up, and the rest is history.
I'm sorry I didn't mention 6 Speed. We'll get to it later. You know, that's what you get. That's right. Alan Tecchio, what's up, man? New Jersey metal represent. There you go. Well, that said, let's bounce the ball back and forth, and let's see where the horse leads us, old friend. How did you come up? Did you grow up in a musical household? How did music come into your life?
A friend of mine that I knew in 7th grade invited me over to his house after school and had a record, and I'll never forget this day. It changed my life. He played for me side 1 of Screaming for Vengeance by Judas Priest. And that, I mean, I listened to music on the radio, and I had MTV at the time. So I was aware of music and I liked it, but it wasn't like I found something that I connected with, that I felt like this spoke to me. There was just something about the 2-guitar heavy metal British thing that at that moment, and then the journey went from there to Iron Maiden, and then I found Ozzy and Scorpions, and that I was off. You know, that was it.
Is that, I mean, growing up you grew up in North Carolina? Yeah.
I
So,
did, Charlotte. Yep.
so was Charlotte like as a young teenager, was that sort of like where you sort of saw music or music stores? Was it Charlotte was sort of like your home city growing up?
It was. It was kind of at a big disadvantage because I didn't have any older friends that were
Mm.
cool, and I didn't have older brothers or cousins. So
Right, right.
there was no way for me to be introduced to music. It was
Mm.
really just through what was on the radio.
Right.
Like what was popular at the time. Because I guess all my friends that like were hip to Slayer before Slayer was cool, and all of the punk scene and the hardcore scene. I was completely unaware of it. I
Right.
was a skateboarder, a BMX, but when I would go to the skateboard park, they played Blondie and the Cars and the Talking Heads. So I was aware of that popular music,
Mhm.
but I never was exposed to underground music at all, which I think it really shaped who I was because I was listening to kind of mainstream metal and mainstream hard rock. So I
Sure.
was much more familiar with the kind of catalog that that you would kind of say was kind of AOR FM radio. I mean, that I was really a product of that. So, and being from the South, of course, we love Ted Nugent, and we love Skinner, and we love Allman Brothers, ZZ Top. I mean, that was part of the vocabulary down here.
Sure.
So I had a wide, source of influences, but they were all just from the mainstream sources.
Hmm. And at what point did you sort of get inspired to pick up guitar, and why guitar?
My next door neighbor uh, was into the same kind of music I was, and he had a friend of his that was going to sell his guitar, and he asked me if I wanted to go 50-50 on buying the guitar with him, and we would share the guitar on opposite days. So he'd have it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then I would have it the other days.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
we both, when he would learn something, he would teach me, and back and forth until my parents took me to a pawn shop and bought me my first guitar, a Fender Mustang, for $35.
Wow.
And so I honestly just kind of, there was no influence. My parents made me take piano lessons like a lot of parents did. There's some mandatory, try out for these sports, see if
Mhm.
baseball is your thing. My parents were really encouraging, but try everything. There was never one specific thing. You should do Boy Scouts, and you should try soccer. You should play tennis. We should, like everything. There was
Sure.
never both of my parents were just working class.
Right.
And we never talked about religion. We never talked about politics. The only discussion that I ever had with my parents about anything that I remember was how was school. So I really had such surface knowledge of everything.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the one thing that I wish that I had more. My bandmates over the years, they all want to tell me about the cool kid who used to hang out at the music store smoking Marlboro Reds, who listened to cool music and introduced them. I had none of that.
Mhm.
I literally I was wide open. I was a sponge. And I think it's one of the reasons why I like all music, because when I grew up, I didn't click up with anybody. It
Yeah.
was just like, I liked everything. You were talking earlier about Dolly Parton. It was like, I love Dolly Parton. I love
Sure.
Saturday Night Fever soundtrack, the Grease soundtrack.
Yeah, yeah.
Just whatever was popular, I just liked it.
Well, as we interact many years later, and we're going to get to that, you and I worked together, in doing a Stuck Mojo video very early on. It's interesting and somewhat gratifying to see who, in the end, has sort of made a career in this business all these years later, and who is, stayed true to their path and their dream. And it's interesting who many years later, like yourself, who made a career playing music, all those years later. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, once I started playing guitar, I think it's just the only thing that made me feel like I was connecting with. There was a purpose. When I would play along with Hendrix records or The Who or Van Halen, it's like there was a sense of accomplishment. I never had any interest in school. I made terrible grades, and it's not like I have a low IQ, although it's not high. It's just, nothing ever connected. I had no friends. My sister was 6 years younger than me. And it was the only thing that every day after school I would put on records, and I would try to teach myself how to play Motley Crue songs. And it gave me purpose. It was and I was also a latchkey kid. So it wasn't like I came home to anything. I came home to a younger sister who I wanted nothing to do with, because, when I'm a teenager, she's 9 or whatever, 7. So
yeah, those
I
are
think
really
more
pronounced.
than anything, kids and girls didn't like me. Like, I didn't know how to talk to girls. I didn't have a dad who was cool, who was like, here's what you do. Like, I literally, it was almost like it was a life preserver, music was.
Sure.
It was the only thing that gave me like this sense of, without this, I don't even know what I'm going to do. I don't know what my day looks like. And I think that's why I fell in love with it, is because it defined my life from age 13 on.
What was the first guitar players that inspired you when you picked up guitar? Like who really spoke to you early on?
Hendrix was my first hero.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of it was I was also enamored with the personality. I never cared whether someone was technically great. That never, I was, it's like Gene Simmons once said, just because you can type fast doesn't mean you can write a good novel. And I always kind of felt like I connected with artists like Hendrix, who, when he played, I felt like it was them speaking to me. It was this genuine. You see Pete Townsend and the way that he performed, you really felt this was a genuine conversation between that guitar player and the audience. And I was always attracted to that. Angus Young, Eddie Van Halen, all the people who, when they stood with a guitar in their hand, like, you got goosebumps, because it was like Mark Twain, or it was like somebody who was profoundly proficient at the art of communicating through this piece of wood and wires. I loved Yngwie Malmsteen in the 80s, and I loved some of these other guys, but that's because they were cool. They wore leather pants, and they had, I just like characters. That's why I guess that's the same thing in football or NASCAR or professional wrestling. I love characters. I want to believe. Sure. I want to believe.
100%. Ray Hogan asks, and being that you were a Southern guitar player, did some of the obvious Southern guitar players influence you early on, like Duane Allman or Gary Rossington from Skynyrd, or was Southern guitar playing like really an influence for you?
Probably not in my playing, but it definitely was in my swagger. There was something about the sensibility about them as, because a lot of that style originated out of blues and bluegrass, and there was this other thing that was happening that shaped Skynyrd, whereas I was listening to hard rock guitar players. So I was listening to, and even though Angus Young, his playing was based out of the blues, his blues was based out of more of a European style than it was the Delta, the US kind of whatever the I don't even know what you would call it, but more of kind of the traditional American blues.
Sure. So you kind of out there, you got to get, was Stuck Mojo the first band that you put together?
It was. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was my first real band. I played in high school in a few bands that played cover songs.
Right.
But my first original band was Stuck Mojo.
Right.
And I was looking for guys, but at the time, I didn't know who I was as a guitar player, because this was in 1989, where I had decided that that heavy metal had kind of left me. Kind of like all of my favorite heavy metal bands weren't making albums that I liked anymore. Judas Priest and Iron Maiden were making records that didn't seem exciting and didn't seem dangerous. And so I just started discovering bands like Sepultura. I started bands like Morbid Angel, Pantera. I started finding bands that were I think dangerous is the word.
Sure.
The thing that Motley Crue and Ozzy Osbourne was when I first saw them for the first time, I was attracted to the fact that it was very counterculture, and they were still writing songs, and there was still melody there, and there were still songs there, but it felt like something that my parents wouldn't approve of me liking. And as a young person, that was very attractive to be, I don't know, connecting with things that felt like that didn't fit in the same way that I didn't feel like I fit in school. And I was trying to figure out, what was my voice and who were people that were speaking the same language that I was. And so when I met these guys, I mean, you can see the picture that's on. It was like I met two guys in Bones.
Is this the original? Is this the original band right here?
It is minus the drummer, but this drummer that's in there, the guy with the mohawk, he joined the band about a year and a half in. So,
okay, because I recognize the bass player. Was his name Dwayne?
It was, yes.
I remember Dwayne. And but I don't recognize that's not the drummer that was in the video we did, right?
Correct. That would have been Brent. We had 3 or 4 drummers in the early days trying to find the right fit, because we were trying to speak this language that I don't think had been defined at the time, because there was no real prototype for what rap rock or crossover music really was. Now, there were some bands doing it, but I was a metal guitar player. I wasn't a funk guy. So I wasn't doing the Psychofunkopus, that kind of experimental Chili Peppers thing. I was trying to figure out how my hard rock heavy metal thing fit into the formula. So we were trying to find a drummer that could groove like a funk guy, but also had rock chops that could hit hard enough that would drive the energy to make this feel like it had the backbeat of a rock band. So we were looking for someone kind of like John Bonham, who lived in both worlds, that could groove, but at the same time hit hard enough that made you feel the energy coming off the stage.
Sure. Yeah. So you guys get rolling. You're kind of doing the Stuck Mojo thing. I'm assuming locally. And how did you guys come on the radar of here? Let me dig out the visual here. I'll go with this here. Sorry, it takes me a second sometimes.
All good. All good.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to come in big. Yeah, too small. Hold on. But how does Stuck Mojo end up in Atlanta, end up turning up on a German-based label, Century Media? I mean, that's where you came across a lot of our radar screens, that Stuck Mojo ends up on Century Media, where at the time I'm managing a couple of bands, Sub-Zero, Furia 5, Marauder, Visaria, and that's how we sort of get in touch. But how does Stuck Mojo end up on Century Media in Europe?
So our manager, Mark Willis, who still manages all my bands, he told us in 1992, we formed in October of '89.
Right.
And we played locally like everyone does. You play every place that'll have you. Sure. And we started building up enough of a loyal fan base. We were drawing 300 or 400 people to shows. We were able to get Mark Willis to manage us, and he was the local promoter. If you wanted to get into the medium and the larger venues, you had to go through a promoter. There were people that were kind of the gateway to those shows.
Sure.
And he said, here's what I need for you guys to do. I need for you to get in the van, and we have to tour some. And I know that there'll be no one showing up, and there's no money, but this is what I need for you to do, because we've got as big in Atlanta as we're going to get without kind of spreading our wings a bit. So we started playing Tampa, Charlotte, Raleigh, North Carolina, Chicago. We would play these bigger cities that had rock scenes, and we would trade shows. So we'd go to Tampa, and we'd get a band from Tampa to let us open for them, and then we would bring them to Atlanta and let them open for us. We were doing these trade shows.
Sure.
And Scott Burns, the heavy metal producer who produced a lot of those Roadrunner bands, had got a hold of our demo tape because we were doing lots of shows in the Tampa Bay area. And Scott gave our demo tape to Monty Connor at Roadrunner. And Monty Connor had just signed Dog Eat Dog and said, I love the band. I'd love to sign you, but we're not the kind of label that can sign two rap rock bands at the same time. It doesn't really make sense, especially since this is kind of an unproven style of music. It hadn't really hit yet. This is 93.
So it was kind of like, we kind of already have Dog Eat Dog over here, and we're giving, and so we're gonna. I could recommend you to my friend. I could recommend you to my friend Bori over at Century Media.
Correct.
Yeah,
that's how it happened.
So that's how it went.
3-song demo tape. Scott Burns, Monty Connor. Monty Connor gives it to Borivore. And we had already recorded most of the record. We had done it on a spec deal,
right?
In Nashville.
So
Next album.
So Snappin' Next was sort of done before you guys were soliciting deals.
Correct. Yes.
Fantastic. Right.
Yep. And so Century Media came in. Bori never even saw us play live.
Yeah.
They just signed us kind of sight unseen, of course, for very little money because we had already done the record. We did it for pretty cheap. And we just wanted to, and to us, it was very attractive because at that time, there was nothing happening in the US that seemed like was a path forward for Stuck Mojo, a multiracial rap rock band.
Right.
There weren't doors available for that, but there were things happening in Europe. There were lots of festivals. We had also met a guy named Metal Mike, who was one of the head guys at Aardschok magazine in Holland. And he kept saying, hey, I'd love for you to come over and play the Dynamo Festival in Holland.
Yeah.
And it was like, so all of a sudden it just seemed like all the fingers were pointed to go to Europe. This is where you should be playing.
Now, did you guys didn't go to Europe before Snappin' Next came out, right?
No, the record came out in March of 95. And the first time that we went to Europe was in the spring of 96.
Is that when you went over with Marauder?
We did. It was Marauder, Slapshot. When you were showing me pictures of Mark from Slapshot playing drums, I shared a tour bus for 10 weeks with Mark.
Wow. I have I got a shot here. Here it is. This is a shot, and we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but this is a shot from that tour because I was managing Marauder and I did come out on the tour, but this picture kind of says a lot.
Oh my God. I love those guys.
It's me and Saab from Marauder, God rest his soul. And you could tell this is outside one of the shows because look behind it is the poster. Marauder, Slapshot, Stuck Mojo on that tour.
I love it. That's incredible.
Yep.
Yeah. That like you said, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but that tour was such an eye-opener for me because I didn't even know what hardcore music really was at the time.
Right.
Like I had no exposure to it.
Sure.
And even though I knew who DRI was, I loved the Suicidal Tendencies. There were some bands that were on my radar, but that was through skate culture. You know, it was those bands were being played at the skateboard park when I would go. So, but the whole idea of the New York or the Boston hardcore scene, I had no idea. So it was an incredible education for me. When we went I was sharing tour buses with guys who culturally I had nothing in common with. And that was my favorite part about it, is just having these,
Is this the lineup that sort of did the work back then? If I remember correctly, that's Bud playing drums, right?
Yes.
And the bass player was Corey, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Corey Lowry, Clint's brother.
Yes, that's right.
who was in Seven Dust.
Yes.
I remember these things now. Yeah. So, yeah, that's that bit. Now, what one other thing that we did is I got a call around then. I got a call from Century Media to come down to Atlanta and do the Stuck Mojo Not Promised Tomorrow music video, which, hold on, I have that here somewhere. Let me see where that is. And I'm going to try to not get flagged. So let me see what we got here.
Yeah, now that Sony owns Century Media.
Yeah, exactly. So I hopefully the bots don't forget about it. This is the video that I shot. Me and my brother came down to Atlanta, Georgia, to shoot this, and I will say that. So a couple of things that people might not know is, first off, I'll start with the this stuff indoors was shot at a place called the Masquerade in Atlanta, which is a very well known. Is it still there? Is the Masquerade still in Atlanta?
That building is gone, but the Masquerade still exists. But it's in a newer building now, and it's that old building. They tore it down and built. You know what they always do? They build condominiums, and
that building was funky. That was an old like mill or something. That was like a funky ass. That was a funky club. So this indoor stuff is shot. We did this at the Masquerade. You guys played the Masquerade. It was like a sold out show, and it was wild. And we shot it, and then we went to Macon, Georgia. We went to Rose Hill Cemetery. This was my idea, and I was pushing that we go to Rose Hill Cemetery. And this footage that you see in the cemetery here, this is in Rose Hill Cemetery, which is where Duane Allman was buried at the time. We took a trip to Macon, and all this stuff. There's one shot. There's a great. I love this shot when you put this. This is great here. This thing. This right. This is great, bro. This shit was great. Yeah, it was great. And then towards the end, you see like we're in Rose Hill Cemetery, and we even get a view of you and the and Duane Allman's gravestone at a certain point. But this was a cool video, man.
It was an incredible video. You guys crushed it. I mean, the cool thing about it is that your style, you are a true artist in that you captured the spirit of the moment. You captured the spirit of the band, but it also has an artistic look about it. And that's a very difficult thing to do. It's difficult for bands to do that too, when you're making records, is to try to be a true representation of who the people in the band are through this song, and at the same time do it in a way that doesn't feel like they've seen it a million times or it's something that's been done. And I felt like that video was just such a brilliant and I think that video did a tremendous amount to help us, because not only was it an artistic video that looked beautiful, but it also it helped kind of capture the imagination of a scene that didn't quite exist at the time, which was, Rage Against the Machine was out, but we were different. Rage Against the Machine was this kind of funky, groovy thing. Our feet were much more rooted in this rock thing, which later I would find we had much more in common with the hardcore scene than we really did with anything else. And we didn't even know it because we were cousins from parents that just hadn't introduced us yet. And I think, like any style of music, it's just a sum of its parts and it's some of its influences. And I think hardcore music had some of the same influences, or at least the early versions had some of the same influences of the stuff that I was listening to. And we were both benefiting from, the same spices. Oh, I've lost your sound.
Sorry about that. Alan Robert from Life of Agony dropped in before and mentioned that you guys were out on tour with them at a certain point, and you guys went over and early on, you guys kind of got over there, and you guys put in some work over in Europe early on, right?
4 or 5 tours in a row. I mean,
Yeah.
we that crossover 2000 tour with Marauder and Slapshot was 10 weeks. And then we came back soon thereafter and did 8 weeks with Life of Agony. And then we went right back over and supported Typo Negative. And then we went right back over and did a headlining tour. And then we went right back over and supported Pantera. So we were just, and that was all within a 3-year period of time. We were constantly going back and forth.
And you guys went out, I mean, going out with Pantera, man, that was pretty awesome.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. In my opinion, the greatest heavy metal band, certainly of that period of time. And it was only a 2-band bill. So it wasn't like it was like some big festival lineup. It was just us playing and then them. It was really special.
Sure. Take us a little bit along the sort of the Stuck Mojo timeline and early on. I know Snapping Necks kind of put you on the map. People were excited. You did a bunch of tours. We did a bunch of work together, and then came kind of the Pig Walk EP, right? No, Violated. Excuse me, Violated. Yeah. And then Pig Walk. You guys went on a little bit of a run there. Any recollections of those sort of those mid-90s?
Yeah, everything was happening so fast that I looked at our calendar for 1996 and I worked 310 days. And that included touring, days off on tour, and the studio. And it was the best days of my life because I was doing everything that I had ever imagined I would have the opportunity to. You know, on a day off, I'm hanging with your bros in Marauder in Paris and Rome and London and playing sold out shows. And I'm in this great phase of self-discovery. Like my early and mid 20s was chaotic because I was like, all of a sudden, I mean, Pig Walk was produced by Devin Townsend and Daniel Bergstrand. Daniel Bergstrand was the producer who produced all the Meshuggah material.
Sure.
And the reason that I wanted to work with those guys was because I was obsessed with their band, Strapping Young Lad and Meshuggah.
Yeah.
And I was
that Strapping Young Lad record, that early Strapping Young Lad record on Century Media is a damn good sounding record.
It's incredible. Yeah, it is. And record. it was like nothing else I'd ever heard.
Yeah.
It was so unique.
He had game. Devin Townsend had game.
Yeah, he absolutely did. He was, and I was so in love with people like that when we toured with Life of Agony and Typo Negative. You know, being able to spend time with Keith and Pete and learning from people who had such strong personalities, but beautiful ways of expressing their personalities in art. And I was just loving having the opportunity to learn from other craftsmen who were so much better than I was. And I wasn't a fully realized artist. I was still this young kid from Charlotte. These other people had a head start over me because they were playing in bands when they were 14, 15, 16. They were coming up in a scene. They were figuring out who they were. And I was figuring out who I was in my mid-20s. So that's why when you listen to Snapping Necks, it's such a different album from Pig Walk, which was such a different album from Rising. Because we were evolving as a band. You know, within 6 months, we were chasing other ideas and pushing each other to try different things. And it was exciting because there were no rules. It's not like we were Dokken and we had to be like a melodic heavy metal band. We could just do whatever we wanted. And there was, when I heard that he passed away, I was so sad.
Yeah, he was a character. Yep.
He was the genuine article.
He was.
I was fascinated by him because I'd never been around anyone like him.
Yeah. That was really, really different, right? That's like two different when worlds collide. You guys from down south and these guys from Queens, you know?
They were
So
incredible, but of course, Anthony was a little more soft spoken.
yeah,
So there were some different personalities. And I think that's what made Marauder work, which is what made Stuck Mojo work.
yeah,
Like Bones doesn't work without Rich Ward, and Rich Ward
right,
does not work without Bones. It's the
right,
fact that he didn't understand rock and roll. He never grew up with it. I
right,
never understood hip hop. Like I didn't
right.
grow up in the inner city. I didn't have the same struggles. And
Yep.
he didn't study Hendrix. He didn't study Deep Purple. And I feel like that sometimes when I listen to new music, that's why I don't resonate. I feel like it's the same spice. Like I'm overly heavily hit with the same spice on a lot of these new bands. I'm not getting like Corey grew up, his dad was like listening to folk music and acoustic stuff. And Bud's favorite band was Kiss. Like we were four kids who grew up listening to different styles of music, but all had this drive and this passion. And we figured out a way to make each one of those puzzle pieces work into this complex formula that we could stand up and say, this is Stuck Mojo.
Was it a struggle early on to sort of because I remember the sort of the situation or the dichotomy or the environment of Stuck Mojo early on, and I remember that sort of being the case. It was a very interesting band. You had a guy fronting the band, a rap dude who really came from that world, who really didn't know anything about hardcore and punk, and then you have a very overtly like metal guitar player who's sort of pulling on that end. But it was the dichotomy and the pushing and pulling is what made Stuck Mojo a very unique band early on. It was a cool band,
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think and listen, early on, Bones and I were the two dominant personalities and the longest standing members.
Sure.
And the beginning was exciting for both of us because we were
Right.
both working with people who we were just feeding off of quote unquote diversity. I don't know what a better word to use, but the idea that both of our ideas had lots of space to develop because we weren't both speaking the same language. So there was lots of room for us to stay out of each other's way and meet in the middle to create this thing. And so part of what made those differences make the band so strong were also the things that made it hard for us to coexist in the band.
What draws you together eventually will be what pushes you apart. It's like a bad romance, right? It's like what brings you together and what draws you together in the end is what's going to be the point of dissension that pulls you apart. And relationships and music that happens a lot. And I know that you guys struggled. I mean, for a bit there, and it was tough, man. It was tough.
And the one good thing about touring a lot with other bands, especially as a support band, helped me understand was that we weren't alone. Yeah. When we toured with Pantera, Phil rode on the crew bus. They didn't get along. Pete stayed pretty separate from the Type O guys. I don't think there was a lot of tension. I just think that they lived separate interests. Pete was always at the gym. He was doing his thing, though, and I think it was a good lesson for me to look at the Keith, Mick personalities, the Gilmore Waters thing. It's like and trying to figure out a way, not that I can compare us to those bands because we're not that, but at least the personality conflicts that come from that type of push and pull. I understood that it was the David Lee Roth, Eddie Van Halen. It's something that is worth protecting and worth fighting for. And at the same time, when you're in your 20s and you're poor, you have no money, and you're struggling, you're driving yourself most places on tour, you're tired. Like all of those things complicate, because I think most people, when you're Keith and Mick, You can fly separately. You can be in separate hotels. You can figure out a way to make it work. But if you're stuck Mojo and you're in a 1977 Dodge van that has no air conditioning, and there's 4 guys to a hotel room, and 2 people are sleeping on the floor, like after a while, and that doesn't even bother you. Like those are things that are built into being in a rock band. The problem is that when the little other things, it's like sandpaper. Sandpaper on the skin doesn't bother on the first few rubs. It's rub your skin with sandpaper for an hour. And that's what living in close proximity in virtual poverty, all of us living in the same apartment, all of us basically sharing whatever resources there were. And I think that was what exacerbated what little differences there were. You know, and the crazy thing is I hadn't been in a fight since I'd been in like high school. Like I'm not that kid. You know, I never had an older brother where you went in the backyard and roughed each other up. So anytime that there was something that happened, any fight I got in school, it was always broken up quick. So it was like, because somebody jumped in, I never really had my ass whipped because I'd never been in the situation. And my first real fight was with my singer Bones in a tour bus on tour. It's like, it's awful. It's like, you know what?
I've seen it, man. I've seen it. It's hard to think back on that stuff when we were young, and it comes to fisticuffs on you know how many times I've seen fucking fights on tour buses between band men. It's like, oh God, I won't even mention names, man. But you know, we've all been there when like violence erupts, and it's like, you know, this is what you know. I went through this with. I don't want to mention names, but I've been through this, and at the time I remember saying, fellas, every band comes through this juncture right here. Every band comes through this. Every band ends up right here at this juncture. What matters is, you know, what you do with it, you know, and how you deal with this. And what do you think? Well, what's the great line? What do you think? Fucking Hall and Oates like each other? They hate each other's guts. You know, that whole bit. Like, you don't have to fucking like each other in this band for now. But, you know, some bands can't transcend that. They turn that into they don't see a bigger picture. They can't transcend it. You don't have to fucking be in love with each other to play music with each other right now.
Well, yes. And here's the other thing that complicates it. Put those people on the cover of magazines and put them on MTV.
Sure.
And tell them they're important.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like, and tell them you don't need that guy. Yeah. Look at you. You write the riffs. Yeah. Like all of a sudden, it's so confusing. It's like the same thing I always talk about, the fog of war. The fog of being in a band it's so confusing to most musicians, because by the time you've had a chance to get enough success and enough wisdom underneath your belt and enough money in the bank to where you're not worried about how are you going to keep the phone on, or how are you going to be able to put $20 on your phone card to call your mom on Mother's Day from Europe? Like, you know what I mean? Like all the crazy things that all go through all of our heads. That Crossover 2000 tour was 5 bands on 2 buses, and that included all the crew members. We had 18 people on one tour bus with no air conditioning in the summer. And to me, it wasn't a big deal because I grew up in an old house in downtown Charlotte where we didn't have air conditioning, and I wasn't used to having luxuries in life. I shared a bedroom with my stepbrother. So it's not like I lived the kind of life where I needed privacy. But when you put 18 people in a hot metal tube for 10 weeks on top of each other, and nobody has any money, and the record company, you don't have cell phones, you don't have email, you have no idea what's going on. You try to call your manager once a week to get some feedback on what you're doing, but you're in the dark, and you're just basically like a great white shark. You're just out at sea, and all you're doing is you're eating. You have one thing: get on stage, have the best show you can, try to show up all the bands that are on the other in the other bands that are on the same bill, try to win the day, try to get the game ball, and move on and do it again.
Sure.
And take that into an undeveloped young dude who's already pissed off. He doesn't even know why he's pissed off, and he's around other people who are pissed off, playing pissed off music, and it's just confusing. And I have to say, I'm embarrassed in the way that I acted a lot of times. I wish I could have had those moments back.
It's a process, man. It's a process. Those were tough times, man. Those we've often talked about on the show sort of the Roadrunner, the Century Media deal. That's sort of like that 360 deal where everything's cross collateralized, and like you're fucking, you got a 7-record deal and the merch is tied to it and the publishing's tied to it. How did you guys make your way through Century Media? You guys were on Stuck Mojo was on Century Media a long time. You put out a lot of material on Century Media. How did that Century Media sort of thing work out for you?
Well, again, through the fog of it all, I thought we were the best-selling band on Century Media in the U.S., because we were lucky. We did this Rising video with WCW Wrestling, which tied us in with the wrestling community. And all of a sudden we got the free airplay on the wrestling show in front of 7 million people. And then we had this other niche fan base that was all supporting us. Our audiences doubled at venues. Things were taking off for us. And we played Coney Island High one night in New York City. And in order to not feel like I'm doing this, we had a major label head that came to see us at the show and was trying to buy us out from Century Media. And at the time, Century Media was willing to do the money deal, but they wanted to put Century Media as an imprint on the album, and that was a deal breaker for the label. So that kind of broke our back a little bit, because we realized we had kind of gotten as far as we were going to get, because Century Media was starting to sign some new bands, and then all of a sudden they had new darlings. Happens to every band. We were no longer, even though we were still their top seller, let's be honest, this was a German-based label, and they had a redneck guitar player from Atlanta, and they were doing rap rock. And I think in their mind, this was kind of low brow. Most of the other bands on Century Media were either hardcore or were death metal, and I think most of the office didn't like us as a band. Borivore was always kind to us, and he was always a big champion of ours. And there were other people like Eula Garrett and Marco Barbieri. There were people there that took very good care of us. But it's a big operation, and when not everybody's on board, it could be tough.
And you guys kind of went through a couple cycles. I mean, Snapping Necks in '95, Violated, Pig Walk, Rising, the live record, Declaration of the Headhunter, Violate This, and like that all seemed to be done for the most part on like one continuous run. Really,
it was. There was no pause.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's the way all bands did it back then, right? It's like it's perpetual motion. Don't stop. Keep going.
But I'm assuming, of course, that putting in your work in the trenches with Stuck Mojo and out there with Marauder and Slapshot and grinding, I think really set you up nice for your second career with Chris in Fozzy. I think it really sort of really set you up to really be able to kind of I hate to use the term, get the call from the big leagues. When the call came in, for the majors, you were ready to go.
Yeah, and thank you for saying so. I think it all was. I mean, I was very lucky that I met Chris. Chris saw Stuck Mojo supported Testament in 1997 in the States, and Jericho came out to see us on that tour when we came through his town. And so when we did the music video with wrestling, I was introduced to Chris. We had some mutual favorite bands that we talked about, and from there the relationship just kind of took off. We decided to do this cover band called Fozzy. At the time, it was called Fozzy Osbourne. We were just doing 80s metal covers for fun. It was kind of a Steel Panther-y, goofy thing where we were wearing wigs.
Was Stuck Mojo like on hiatus when you started?
No, it was an active band. Stuck Mojo was still active and touring and making records. This was just a fun one-off thing. And it turned out that it was so much fun and I wasn't having fun with Stuck Mojo. I talked to Chris and said, we should do more of this.
Bro,
and we did 4 shows.
Bro, you're preaching to the converted, 100%.
Yeah. And after the 4th show, Michael Alago calls us. He was working for Megaforce. And then he signs us to Megaforce with Fozzy, sight unseen.
Wait a second. Are you talking about this Michael Alago?
I'm talking about that Michael Alago.
Brother man, how are you?
I love you.
I love you too. You know,
timing is everything.
Timing is everything. This is a very exciting show. Rich Ward is so fucking. Ooh, I can curse. Rich Ward is so fucking special as a human being, as an artist. I totally adore him. I don't remember when did we actually meet?
I believe that we met at the photo shoot. That's my first recollection.
In 2000? When we
yes.
Okay. Actually, the record, I don't know how John Zazula came back into my life again, but he did. And, you know, I met with him and Faisal. We had a general manager. His name was Faisal at Palm Pictures. And it wound up being that we put the record out on Palm Pictures, but there was a little, of course, again, John wanted his logo, Megaforce, on the back of the album. You know, we said, yeah, sure, what the fuck. We did that. We made an extraordinary record.
Is this the cover of the first record?
Dan Winters. Yeah, Dan Winters got the front and the back cover, put the packaging together for us. And the record came out. I think we made the record down south with Andy Seep, right?
Yes.
Rock and roll, babe. Great record. And I'm such a big fan of that same time period. I was going to see Chris, you know, wrestle at the Garden, you know, and we became fast friends. And here we are, 25 years later, and everybody is just as good as they were back then. Oh, what a picture. Woo-hoo.
Is this the photo session you were talking about, Rich?
That's the one.
This is it?
Dan Winters.
Yeah.
Wigs and all.
Yeah.
No wig for me.
No.
Fully prepared.
Well, and no wig for Chris either.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, this was kind of like the end of my A&R career, because I had worked for 20 years, Elektra, Geffen, Palm Pictures, and I had just kind of had enough. And I was feeling like I was getting sick again, although I didn't, thank God. But this was so much fun to make this record with y'all. And to see you 25 years later, I mean, I come to every one of your shows, whether it's in fucking New Jersey or Detroit or Manhattan. I love you guys so very much. Huge fan, Rich Ward. Rich, I love you. I love you. But you know what? I kind of sort of have to go because
is that it? Is that all we're getting today? That's it?
We maybe do, but you know, Rich, I recently had fucking brain surgery, and my head is killing me today. So I don't know. Is there any questions that you want to ask me, Drew?
No, I just wanted to bring you on and say hi.
Good. And
I thought the timing was right. Excuse me?
Did we have some fun pictures of me and Rich?
Yeah. Let me find a couple of. Let me find a couple of pictures. Hold on.
Rich, we haven't seen each other in person in like 2 years, I guess.
I know.
Maybe
it's been a while
or something.
I know. I've missed you.
I miss you too. So we'll have to figure something out.
Here you go. This is a good one.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. That's the Gramercy, yeah. And the band was kind enough to give me a gold record for Judas as well. They know I'm a huge fan of theirs. The music, the characters, everything is so fabulous.
There would be no Fozzy without you, sir.
Oh, well, there would be, but I was there from the get-go, and everything
everything has a purpose. I've been
Right.
so lucky that when Stuck Mojo was no longer the love of my life, I met Chris.
I was.
You were. I met Chris, and then I met you, and it is. I've lived a very privileged life, and that's and what I mean by that is that I've been able to wake up every day as a guitar player.
Yes.
And that is a privilege. And there are so many incredible players and musicians who have worked equally as hard that just didn't walk through that door at that time and weren't there. And it was such a blessing to meet Drew when I met Drew, because I believe without the Not Promised Tomorrow video, I wouldn't be sitting here. And without you coming into my life, I would not be still sitting here. And this is a team sport. And if there's been anything that I've learned over time, it's that we can't do this alone. We need each other.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Alago. Love you.
See y'all, and whoever, all your fans that are on this show today, it's been an extraordinary show. Your love, your energy, your charisma, how beautifully you speak about everything and everyone. Rock and roll.
I'll talk to you later, Michael.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Well, there you go.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
I love the movie you did for him or with
Thank
him.
you.
Or I don't know how you put it into, but when it came out and I saw that it was your film, I was so excited.
Yeah, that must have been cool. Like, oh shit, Drew Stone did this. I know this guy.
Yeah, it was exciting.
That film was great and did a lot for everybody. And we're gearing up to do another project you kind of peripherally know about that Milt's involved in.
I'm so excited.
So we're
Would you mind
up.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I wanted to just say we were kind of reflecting back on things that relationships, and you and I have never had this discussion before, and I wanted to do it publicly and just let you know.
I'm game.
So that everyone can hear it. And this goes as kind of a cautionary tale to all musicians and people in the scene. When it was suggested to do the next video after the Not Promised Tomorrow video, which would have been for our next album, Pig Walk, and it would have been for the single Pig Walk, it was suggested to us that we use a director who had a relationship with MTV, which meant that the song had a better chance of getting aired on American MTV. And at the time, as a 25-year-old kid, I'm so ashamed that I was so shallow as to take the shortcut of some promissory, especially you and I got along so well. You and I rode together down to Macon. We spoke about music the whole time. And I was fascinated by you, by your knowledge of music, your passion for music. And I had not met a lot of people in the industry. Most of the people that I had met are people who care about scales or care about whatever. Your interest in the history of music and the importance for certain artists was fascinating. And I just wanted you to hear it from my voice personally. That I'd like to apologize to you, because not only did I try to shortcut the system by trying to find a quick way up the ladder of success, but I didn't have the freaking courtesy to call you or to reach out to you. And
I appreciate it, Rich, and I do enjoy having a public conversation like this about it. I think in hindsight, on my end, we were all young, and I was young too, and sort of young and idealistic. Making my way, doing stuff. And, we did the first video for Stuck Mojo, Not Promised Tomorrow. We came down to Atlanta, me and my brother. We shot the video. We put a lot into the video. We really believed in you guys. We put it out there. And like you said, when it came time to do the next video, I wasn't considered. And I took it hard. I took it personally. And I don't think that I would take it that way now, but we were young then. We were all young then, and sort of coming from where I was coming from, sort of like, I went and did the same circumstances with the first Madball video. Madball, I did early video for Madball, kind of went, really busted ass, it wasn't a money maker. Did it because I loved it. And then when it came time for them to do a second video, like they said, hey, yo, Drew Stone stepped up for us when we had nothing. He should do the second video. And I felt that was inherently righteous. Now, this isn't a constantly righteous world that we live in. And I understand that now. I mean, as a young person, it was a little hurtful, and I was a little righteous. And, there's a bunch of things that in that era, my behavior and stuff that I did, and the way that I acted professionally in certain circumstances and with other people that I find, slightly cringy all these years later. But what's important, it's nice all these years later that we can get together and we can talk about it. And in a lot of ways, how trivial it is in the end. And what's important is that we did make some great art together, and we did have that bond and that relationship. And here we are all those years later, and we could talk about it.
Yeah. Well, and I did want to say, and thank you for saying it in that way, but I wanted to let everybody know, also it was a really good lesson for me. Obviously everything we do, you put it perfectly when you said, hey, all the things you've done up until this part of your life got you to this moment where you met Michael Alago and Chris Jericho,
Sure.
and were able to do that.
Yeah.
I remember I saw you at a European festival, and I went up to say hello to you, and you didn't want to talk to me. And let me say this: it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it let me know that decisions have consequences, and it made me realize that it hurt you, and it didn't. I didn't even have it within me to even think at that time that it would have hurt you. So it reminded me that everybody in this business works so hard.
Sure.
And everybody is emotionally invested in their work. This isn't just like a job. It's not like you and I are landscapers or we're roofers. This is our life. And our life is attached to our jobs. And when we have these relationships with people, especially someone like you who comes into my life, who makes this incredible piece of art for my band. And when it's discussed, and you were discussed, because we did have that discussion about using you, the first thing that happened was the discussion of, well, what good is a video if nobody sees it? And my 25-year-old brain says, oh, okay, that makes sense to me. But without thinking, I should call Drew and have a conversation. And I think it's important for people to know that there are no shortcuts in life, and there are no shortcuts in this business. And the most important things are relationships.
100%. It's hard. And it's hard for young people to navigate this terrain. We were young people, and, of course, looking back all these years later, I have much more of a laissez-faire attitude when it comes to all this kind of stuff. When people attack me now or anything, and I'm not saying I was attacked then, but as a matter of fact, now I just sort of find it humorous at this point. It's like, whereas back in the day, those would be fighting words. Now it's just sort of like fodder for humor. It's like, if somebody wants to, carry on about me, I don't. I'm a little bit older now, and I'm comfortable with the body of work that I've done, and I feel that my results speak for themselves. So I'm not going to like flip out over some kid in his mother's basement in Ohio that's insulting me. It's just part of the terrain and part of the business and part of what we have to deal with in 2026. So I appreciate it, man. But
I've always wanted to talk to you about that. I've always just wanted to say it to you. And I think doing it publicly was the right thing to do, because first of all, I wanted everyone in your podcast to know what an incredible artist you are. And the reason it doesn't bother you when people say something is because you're a fully realized man. You're a fully realized artist. It doesn't matter if somebody criticizes you, because that's like saying I'm cooking meals for myself. I'm not seasoning it for you. I realize I've made more videos and played more concerts and made more albums than I'm going to make. I'm on the back nine of my life and want to try to do things that are of worthy of living another day. And that
Sure.
means making someone happy, doing something that makes a difference. And that's
100%.
and every gig should be that way, putting smiles on people's faces and changing lives the best you can.
Well, I got to take a sponsor break, but I feel that as we arrive at this fork in the road, I think there's a lot of humility involved. We've been working in this business a long time, and I think that's the perspective that just serves us best, is just to be grateful and have some humility and going into it, and some appreciation. It goes a long way. That said, let's take a sponsor break. You got a couple of minutes, and then let's come back and let's talk about the Fozzy timeline a little bit, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
All right, I'll see you in a minute. That's what's up. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. You all right, Lori? Are you okay?
I'm hanging in. This is great. This is like a beautiful, inspirational show.
Yeah, you got me a little choked up there, man.
I know.
I don't like to, I don't want to talk about what a dick I was in the past.
I was looking for tears.
I don't want to talk about what a douchebag I was in the past.
My daughter has a great saying. She's like, "What's done is done." That's what she says. What's done is done. And she's been through it, right?
Yep. All right, let me take the sponsor break. I'll see you in a bit.
All right.
Yeah, all right. That's what's up. Let's do this. We'll be back in a minute. Let me find our where are our sponsors? Use this. Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Will that be cash or in debt?
Do you mean debit?
Yes. Sorry. Another eternally satisfied customer.
Yo, what's happening? I'm out here at one of our all-ages Sunday matinees on the Bowery. I hope that you are enjoying today's show. I just want to let you know that the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live needs your support. Please step up. There is a Patreon page that has a lot of unique program. Shows are announced there first. Lots of good stuff. There's a PayPal address right there on the screen if you want to make a contribution. There's also a super chat function. You could do that, but the bottom line is this show exists because of your support. We're going to be doing it for a long, long time. Thank you for all your support through the years. Back to the show.
Conditioned by indoctrination, conditioned by society. You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Conditioned by misinformation, it's just the media telling us lies. Decipher fiction from the truth, society's slow and tragic demise. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Everyone.
That is what's up. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Hope everything's well out there. Hope good things are happening to you. You know what I wanted to mention? Some upcoming shows coming up this Sunday. Yes, a sad event. It's the Lou Kohler Memorial Show. Lori's co-hosting. Hey, are you ready for this on Sunday?
Can I ever be ready for this? I don't know. I know.
There's no crying in hardcore.
Except
dudes. There's no crying in hardcore except skinheads. Everybody else can be hard, but if you have a skinhead, you can cry. All right? Only skinheads can cry. So I can cry. Shave your head if you want to cry. If you want to cry, shave your head.
It'll be a beautiful show. We'll share a lot of memories, and it'll be nice.
So a couple people asking, I think we're going to have Howie Abrams come on and a couple other special guests. So this is, yes, Francis, this is going to be a very special show. That's coming up this Sunday. Bring the tissues. And then listen, wait a second. Are you hosting? No, that's not 2 shows in a row, are you? No. There's something. So then you're going to co-host with Woody from Corrosion, which we still have yet to announce on September 20th. We got Pat Flynn from Have Heart on October 4th. And then, of course, Bill Ward from Black Sabbath will be on the show talking about the spandex he wears on that Black Sabbath album cover. Is it true it's his girlfriend's clothes he's wearing? Or we're going to talk to Bill Ward about the Black Sabbath songs that he sang and the spandex he wore on the Black Sabbath album cover. That's all we're interested in. Yeah.
Everything else is just fluff.
Bill Ward's hard, yo. He played that. Didn't he play that last Ozzy thing with his shirt off?
Did he?
That's like some I don't give a fuck shit. Like I'm 80 years old and I'm a drummer and I'm slightly overweight and I'm going to play with my shirt off.
Yeah, because at 80 years old, there's not much collagen left.
You're just like, fuck it. Waddy plays with his shirt off.
Yeah, why not? Who cares?
Waddy could do anything he wants.
Yeah. You know, the British have a much more healthy attitude on body image and stuff like that. They don't get caught up on, you know, vanity and things like that. They don't care.
Listen, I'm caught up. Excuse me. I'm caught up on vanity, so listen.
But it's a nice way to live. You just don't care. It's a human body. Who cares?
Speaking of vanity, let's bring our guest on and torture him some. Hey, man.
Speaking of,
listen,
how long did it take you to get your hair so perfect this morning?
Probably about 10 minutes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Don't be a hater. Don't be a hater, Lori.
I'm not. I'm actually jealous. I used to do my hair up like that. It was a lot of work.
Yeah. I've got a technique down now. Yeah. When I have the same haircut now that I did when I was in high school, I've decided that I'm going to revert back to all of those early instincts, but then incorporate all wisdom accumulated over the last 57 years.
Okay. Oh, fantastic.
Hey, Rich. That kind of segues to sort of your Guardians of the Jukebox project, which, I feel like we're kindred spirits because we do the My War thing, which is, doing sort of like the great American hardcore and punk hits of the 80s and 90s. Is Guardians of the Jukebox started? Walk us through it. Is it like an 80s review?
It is. So it started back to just pre-pandemic when Bill Burns died from Leonard Skinner. Artemis Pyle Bob Burns, excuse me. Artemis Pyle is managed by a guy who does radio promotions for Fozzy. And he said, Artemis wants to do a show to raise money for Bob's family. So I said, cool. He said, could you get a bunch of local Atlanta musicians together and let's do a show together? I said, God, you mean I get to play with Artemis Pyle? Of course.
Oh, hell yeah. I want to play with Artemis Pyle.
Yeah. So we put this show together and it was one of the most fun gigs I've ever had. We played like the Eagles and Skynyrd and Allman Brothers and ZZ Top. And it was like just the classics. And then after the show, I said, man, I want to do this again. And that was kind of the planting of the seeds for Guardians of the Jukebox. I after a period of time, I realized that I wanted to do the 80s. And because the 80s was the era I grew up in, I have a better relationship with that music because They were the songs when I was in junior high school. In high school, I was intimately familiar with the whole catalog.
So wait
it
a
was-
second. Wait a second. Give us some of these songs. What songs are we talking about here?
We Guardians of the Jukebox only play hits. We don't do deep cuts. So we do Electric Avenue. We do All Night Long. We do Final Countdown.
It's final. Who sings that? Who sings something like that?
Douglas Busby. He's like it was the prog rock guy in Atlanta he was like the singer in Atlanta. And when I put it together, I was like, I knew the guy because he had the voice. That's the guy with the headphones on.
The final count. And I assume, looking at this army of musicians, you have a keyboard player, right?
Correct. Yes.
Of course.
Of course. It's my bearded Korean brother, Damien.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And then so we have a female singer to cover female vocals. And then Rizzo is the guy with the dreads who covers the Prince, the hip hop, because we play raw bass. We do snap. We do the power. We just do. I know. So
what else?
do.
What else? What else? What else?
So we play new wave stuff. So we play the Duran Duran stuff. We play Blue Monday. We play Depeche Mode. We play everything. But we only play this. It's the best. It's the best thing I've ever done.
I hear you, bro.
And the reason is it's 7-year-old kids to 60-year-olds. You'll see people crying in the audience, people with their arms around each other, and we play in front of thousands of people. It's the most insane thing that's ever happened to my life because it's this unexpected third chapter.
So you didn't see that coming, huh?
I never saw it coming.
Good for you.
I didn't even take it seriously. When we first started the band, I said, let's do one or two kind of like almost like underground rave 80s parties. Like we'll rent a warehouse, put video games in it, just do like a retro con. Like we'll put the older 80s. I've started buying like old 80s sports cars so I could park them outside. Like you just do a thing. Like an 80s prom, a total. And then it's like one of those things during the pandemic, everything stopped. So we couldn't tour with Fozzy anymore. Stuck Mojo's gone from my life for all intents and purposes. And then all of a sudden, Georgia opens up a little earlier during the pandemic than most of the other states. So we start doing these big outdoor festivals because outdoor things were starting to open up and they're doing these big city events. And all of a sudden, we become this gathering place. That's why when people say, hey, you guys play Aha? You guys, like, you play Take On Me? Oh, yes, I do.
It's funny, right, Laurie? It's like very similar to the My War thing that we're
Absolutely.
doing. We're like sort of running in sort of in the alternate universe.
Yeah.
We're doing a very similar thing. And what's really, really great about it is how many people it brings together. It's not like one band doing one catalog. What's so incredible about it is it brings so many people together and so many songs. See, we have different singers every song. Yeah. So it's like, but it's very similar, but it really brings people together. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. And it started off just as like, the Holiday Slamboree, we were doing just a one-off show and we're like, let's do this, let's try it. And it was right before the holidays and it almost became like, now it's sort of like a tradition. It's like our caroling, everybody, it's a sing-along.
Have you played New York yet?
I haven't, but I'm planning on it. Yes.
We got to get you up here, man.
Yeah.
I would love it. And I have to tell you, I think what makes the Guardians of the Jukebox, which is probably the same for you, is all the bands who play covers that I always like a cover band is a pejorative and like it is the worst thing. Like I would never until the Artemis thing. And the only reason I did the Artemis thing is to play with Artemis Pyle. Like I would do anything to play with one of the most important, influential musicians of all time. So, but I didn't realize that it's like the first time I ate Indian food. When someone says, I'm Indian food, I'm a curry. And then you have it, you're like, what? Why didn't somebody tell me? And I just didn't realize that it's really, I've taken ownership of the songs. So I don't play, when we play, just for instance, when we play Electric Avenue, there is no guitar in Electric Avenue, the original versions. But we play it like I would play Electric Avenue. All the songs we play, I just play the way I would.
Sure.
And that way, I'm not reinvent. The melody and the lyrics are the foundation. You don't change those. You don't make the song yours. All I'm doing is taking my crayon and I'm just adding my color to it. And I've found such beauty in figuring out, how does Rich Ward play Africa by Toto Toto? Because
Great song.
Rich
That's
Ward,
a good one. Good one.
It's incredible.
It's a good one.
But I don't speak that language. It's like speaking Portuguese. But the idea is that I take Africa and I take Rich Ward and I figure out how we can be dance partners. And that is the most beautiful thing. It has really allowed me to become such a better guitar player because I'm using my vocabulary in ways that I haven't before. Because, when you write songs, when you previously in your original bands, you're writing based on how do you play? What's your expression? When I'm playing Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi, I can't do that. Richie Sambora already did it. So I'm finding where I can marry how I play with the way that Richie Sambora approaches it. I don't play it like Richie. I think that's been the biggest problem with cover bands, is that they try to play the songs the way that the original artist did. And it's like, excuse me, you'll never be as good as the original. That's the whole point of the original. It was perfect when they did it. The objective is, if you want to have a communication with an audience, is that they have to believe that you are singing the song to them, which means that they have to believe that you are the artist communicating this song in this moment. And the only way that you can do it is by making it yours.
100%.
Believability is everything.
Speaking of which, have you seen your Hardcore Legends trading card?
No. Oh my goodness, I love this.
I think there's two of them. There's the Duke LaRue Fozzy card, right? That's one of them. Let me show you the other one. Let's see let me find the other one. Okay, yeah, here's the other one. And let's see. And then there's let's look at the back. It's got to look at the back. So let's see.
Wow. Holy mackerel.
Lot going on here, man.
A lot. Half of these I don't remember.
Rich's nickname, the Duke, spawned from a German review of Stuck Mojo's 97 album Pigwalk. The reviewer wrote, "If Zakk Wylde is the king of metal guitars, then Rich Ward must be the Duke." I was going to ask you about that. In 2005, Rich released the solo album My Kung Fu Is Good under the name The Duke, and he has been credited as Duke LaRue while playing with professional wrestling superstar Chris Jericho of Fozzy. Wow. Very cool.
Yeah, and I always said I would never play in anybody else's band. I've had lots of big offers from big bands, like real big bands. And I always tell them, I would suck in your band. Right. I always try to explain them to them. I would not be good in your band. And they're like trying to tell me, no, dude, you don't understand. I was like, no, you don't understand.
Right.
My thumbprint is super narrow. I have this thing that I do. What you do is not what I do. And you would just, and I want to be in control of the thermostat on the tour bus. I'm past this point where I want to be an employee. I'm too old to be an employee.
Yeah, but it sounds like you've been working with Chris for 300 years now. So
yeah, but
it doesn't sound like you're like fucking like Richie Blackmore can't work with anybody.
Well, he and I are 50-50 partners. Yeah. No, but it's so true. It's like, but Chris is the coolest guy in the world. We wouldn't have been together for 27 years if it wasn't, because I would have just left. And it's listen, with the exception of Metallica and the big bands, everybody's just making get by money. Like, let's just be honest. It is.
Sure.
So do what your purpose is. Like, we were all put on this earth to do something. And if that is to collect pencils for kids, like do your thing. Like, what is your thing? Because otherwise you're going to have, I know you are doing it. And that's why I'm saying, like, for me, I just want to feel like every day I wake up that whatever that pneumatic tube from the universe that has been opening doors that just says, walk through that door. Just keep moving. Stay in perpetual motion. Eat the right foods. Exercise. Do the things that you can be the best version of yourself, so that when you do play on stage, someone doesn't go, yeah, last time I saw him, that was a lot better than this. Like then it's over. I saw somebody in the comments that said, I saw Dokken a month ago. Worst show I've ever seen. And the thing is, it's over. Like, we're all going to have rough gigs. Like, it's just physiology. Some days it's not going to be as good as it is. Some days you can't sing as good as you normally do. That's being human. But you should prep to be the best version of yourself. Everyone should want to be Tom Brady. Stay on the field as long as you can. Like, do whatever it takes to be the best version of yourself until it's time to get off the stage. And then know when it's time.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of, people hang around people don't want to go. So,
well, they're getting paid.
In boxing and in the arts as well, right? It's
hard. It's hard, isn't it?
Hey, let me quick sponsor break. Let's quick sponsor break, you guys, and we'll come back and we'll take some questions from around the world. Okay. I'll see you in a minute, Lori. I'll see you in a minute, Rich. That's what's up. Get your questions ready. Post them up. Go deep, get weird. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. We're sponsored by blah, 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 and the Texas Silver Rush. They're a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as to style them for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Rolle, Ringo Starr, and of course, Agnostic Front. Information and online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram page, and of course, www.thetexassilverrush.com. Last but certainly not least, Gamma Bass Guitars, founded by Joe Milstein, built from one simple belief: finding a great bass couldn't be that hard or this expensive. After decades around music, tone, and gear, he stopped searching and started creating. Building basses that actually deliver where it counts, no gimmicks, no over-engineering, just clean design, lightweight feel, fast necks, and tone that shows up whether you're on stage or in the studio. Most Gamma basses are built to order, so it's not just another instrument off the rack, it's yours. Check out these fantastic instruments at www.gammabassguitars.com. Mention the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live and get 25% off. That said, just a reminder, please support the show. Show needs your support. There is a Patreon page. There it is. There's a Patreon page. There's a super chat function. There's a PayPal address. Support the show. Lots of good stuff coming up with the show. As you know, questions. Now would be the time. Post your questions. Go deep. Get weird with our guest, Rich Ward. So go ahead. I'm calling you out. So let's bring our guest back on, Mr. Rich Ward. Hey, man. We're still doing it, Georgia. We're still doing
Represent.
it. Yeah. Hey,
State.
What's? Let me see it as you go here. How does Rich? Thank you, James G. Ward. How does Rich feel about the genre term nu metal?
I'm kind of ambivalent about it. There were some bands that I really liked, some bands that I didn't resonate with, because I think nu metal steered away from my preferences. My preferences were Eddie Van Halen and Randy Rhoads, Judas Priest guitar style. And nu metal was less about kind of top end on guitar stuff, and it kind of leaned towards the Ross Robinson production style, which was much more bass heavy and low end 7-string guitar style. So it wasn't, those guys weren't cooking for my palate, most of them. I think that's the reason why Stuck Mojo worked, is because I was just able to do what I did. Bones did what he did. Corey did what he did. Bud did what he did, and somewhere in there was the result. And I think that's why during the '90s I was always more fascinated and in love with Pantera, what Zakk Wylde was doing. Kind of more guitar player music.
Yeah. Masked Sanity says, I just wanted to put this out there. My girlfriend had a rough time a few years ago. She wanted songs to inspire her. I sent her Reborn by Stuck Mojo. She adapted it as her theme song. So you know what? If nothing else, you did all right, bro. If nothing else, it's been a long, hard road, but you know what? These are the things that make it all worthwhile. So there you go. I'm proud of you, old friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good,
and thank you very much, Mass Sanity. Thank you for sharing that.
That's awesome, man. That's the real currency in this whole fucking game, man.
Yeah, I call that the juice. We're constantly squeeze. That's the juice. Yeah. We're all squeezing, but when you can get that, where you feel like whatever you did, it actually meant something. It's because obviously you want to give people a good time, but you also want them, when they walk away, you want it to have left something there that meant more than just the moment you shared during the concert.
Yeah. One of the reasons I've always appreciated what you did and Stuck Mojo did, it predated the media derogatory term. Y'all were OGs. Yeah, they were, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you, James.
Yeah, no doubt about that. What's that guitar you were playing that you showed me in the pre-show? Let's take a gander at that.
Yeah, it's so when I started the Guardians, I wanted to do something that was kind of period correct. So I was looking for Steinbergers, because Vito Bratta from White Lion and Mike Rutherford from Genesis and Eddie Van Halen, Alex Lifeson from Rush, they were all using the headstockless guitars. I thought, man, that'd be really cool for Guardians, is to show up with something that looked like it came from the era. But man, to find one in good shape on eBay is $6,000-7,000. So I found this company out of California that makes these, and it plays incredibly well. And as long as you put an Eazy-E sticker on the back of it, you're in good hands.
What kind of neck is that? What is that? Rosewood? What's that neck? Let me see that.
It's walnut and mahogany.
Walnut.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Yeah, it's walnut.
Yeah, nice. It's cool because it's basically a Swiss Army knife. It does everything. It does incredibly good clean tones. It's like a great 80s guitar. It's basically like a Charvel or a Jackson or an Ibanez. It's the perfect tool. It goes heavy or it cleans up. It does everything. I've always been a Les Paul guy.
Yeah, you have.
A Les Paul's got a thumbprint. It does a thing.
Yeah.
And for Guardians, because I have to kind of spread my wings a little wider on that. If you're playing a Kenny Loggins song followed by a Loverboy song, you have to be equipped with something that can do justice to all of it.
Hey, you know what? I'm glad someone's asking this question, because I could play it off like I'm not asking it, but they are. I think at J St. G, I think we'd be amiss to just not at least, hey, Rich, any chance you, Frank, Corey, Bones would give it another go now that new metal's coming back? By the way, we met a few times in Syracuse and Poughkeepsie when Jazz opened. You are kind, fan for life. So basically,
thank you, Jay.
Any chance that Stuck Mojo with Bones would ever see the light of day again?
I've actually tried to see if we could make it work. I think part of my hesitation is the idea that it wouldn't be as good as everyone remembered it being. And I never want to do it. Trust me, that 90s new metal thing is huge. We've had lots of offers to do festivals. We've had lots of offers to do tours, and good money. But I've gotten to this point in my life where I've said, I I'm not going to do anything for money anymore. I'm going to do it because it's the right thing to do.
Mhm.
And I feel like Stuck Mojo was such an incredible moment in time and it was special that if we did it, it would have to be because there would be commitment from all 4 band members that it would be
Sure.
us at our best, which would mean mentally and physically ready to live up to the fans' expectations, because our fan base is still one of the greatest fan bases in the world. I played in Raleigh this past weekend, and there were 6 or 7 Stuck Mojo t-shirts in the crowd.
When
and
was
it
the last
incredible.
time Stuck Mojo played?
The day after Christmas 2015.
So it's 10 years. And was that with Bones? Or was
Yeah, same. That was the lineup. Yeah.
It's a decade, bro. A decade. It's a long time.
And it was good. We played well. I was very proud of us. Yeah.
And you know what? There's there's nothing wrong with leaving it on that note. You left it on a high note. That's okay.
Sold out night at the old Masquerade before they closed
there you
it.
Go.
And it was special. I think that if I could get a commitment from everyone in the band that they were willing to put the time in to honor the fans in a way that they deserve to be honored, then I would be willing to do a festival set to give it a shot, to where it wouldn't be on our back alone, where it could be a 45-minute set to say, how is this? Because how it is.
Guys, if you guys pull it together, you could go to Europe and do the festival circuit.
Yeah. And I would love to. I mean, listen, it's my first love. I love those songs. I still listen to those records. Sure. It's like I'm a fanboy of it because it wasn't just my guitar playing. I was enamored with what we were and we were unique, and it was specifically cool to the lyrics, and I loved his approach. I would love to do it, but it would, like I said, it would have to be something that respected the fan base.
Storyloo, Blabbermouth is watching. 3, 2, 1, headline. There you go.
Because Bori.
You know what? You and I were talking about Century Media and Bori, and for those of you out there that may not know, is that me and Rich are talking about the early Century Media days, and Borvoy, who basically signed Century Media, it's the same Borvoy that started Blabbermouth. And the guy that's behind Blabbermouth. And that's part of the reason why Blabbermouth has always been very kind and supportive to me. I know a lot of people have a lot of problems with them, but they/him have always been very supportive of my endeavors, and I appreciate that.
He's a great guy. Really quick, my first time I was ever in New York City, Borivor flew me up, picked me up at the airport, and drove me around in a mid 80s or late 80s kind of like Cutlass or some type of American-made cool cruiser. And he air drummed to the Burn My Eyes demo that he had. The album wasn't out yet, Machine Head. Then we listened to the demos for Demanufacture he was air drumming to. Then we listened to the Strapping Young Lad record. And we just drove around. All we did is drive around New York City, and we barely talked. We just listened to music together. And it was like the coolest experience of my life. This guy just signed me to my first record contract. And we're driving around, and he's air drumming to these albums that aren't out yet. And he's listening and almost like he's educating to me to what's happening in the metal scene that I wasn't aware of. It was incredible, man. And he was always very kind to me.
Lori, why don't you ask him yourself?
Well, we were speaking about, always, being at your best, and maintaining your health and fitness and being at your best. How do you do that personally?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on a really strict diet. I only eat food. I don't eat anything that's like multi ingredient stuff that comes in boxes or packages. I only eat it if it's a sweet potato or a carrot or a bell pepper or anything or an egg. I go to the park every day, and I run in the sun every day. I do yoga every morning when I wake up, and I take care of my body because I realize I see other people my age, and I think that's the option.
Yeah,
that's the other option. The other option is just to eat like that. Yeah. That's me and my best friend, Rosie. Yeah. Yeah. Those are the options are is like, and also when you were the best version of yourself, you also have said thank you to your audience who paid $20 to see you that night. Yeah. Because you've said your investment in me and this band, not only the money, because the money's not the valuable thing, it's the time. You got in your car and you decided you were going to spend your evening with me, and I'm going to honor that exchange with giving you the best version of myself. And if that means that I never eat another slice of pizza and I never eat another hamburger and my favorite things are pancakes, I don't do cheat days or cheat meals. I don't eat anything other than food. And the reason is not because of vanity. I mean, it's nice to look attractive if you can. I wasn't gifted with Brad Pitt good looks or Matthew McConaughey. I could just be the best version of myself. But I also know that my heroes always looked larger than life. And I see people in the comments constantly like, ooh, look at Vince Neil now. Look at Don Dokken now. And I think partially I feel bad for Don Dokken and Vince Neil that people are shaming them. But part of it is that I just say you're not investing in your career because it's not the aesthetic. It's the fact that when you take care of your body, you will sing better. You will perform at a better level, and you are reinvesting into your audience and saying your time has a value to me, and I will thank you by giving you everything I can give, because everybody loves cheeseburgers. Who doesn't like cheesecake? But I've just come into that point in my life where I've said I'm willing to sacrifice some things, right? Yeah. It's the same thing you do when you get married or you're in a relationship. You just say, I'm sacrificing a variety of partners. Okay? Like every decision in life just comes with it's this or this. You make decisions. And if you want to be the best version of yourself, then you just make the decisions that those things are no longer worth it anymore. The variety of partners is not worth it to me, like to exclude having a life partner that I can share my ride with the rest of this, whatever's left of my life. Like you talked about at the beginning of the show, it's like Tim Curry, oh my Dolly, oh like
Tim Curry, Dolly Parton, Frank Beard. Hey, I got one for you.
Yeah.
James Warrior asks, you mentioned newer music being a little bit harder to get into or relate to, but is there any newer bands, any genre you're a fan of?
Yeah, it's funny because people will kind of give me grief for it, but I really like Youngblood. And I think part of the reason that I like him is because he had that kind of skater punk thing that I was into when I was a kid, but he marries it with some classic rock influences. Again, it really just comes down to, it's not whether I identify with an artist or something. I've come to that part of my life where I'm listening to things that inspire me, that things that like touch me, like a movie. Like there's so many new movies. I love film. I watch lots of movies. I watch lots of independent films. And I'm always looking for the movie that the storytelling makes me cry or makes me scared or makes me excited. Like I just want to be emotionally engaged. And I saw Youngblood recently, and there was something about the show that was so exciting to me that I felt a kind of a kindred spirit about it. It felt youthful and it felt exciting, and there were young kids there and they were excited, but there were also older people. I mean, I still go to see The Prodigy, and they're like one of my favorite groups of all time. And I know they're not a new group. I know they're from the 90s. Just trying to think of some of the newer bands. I'm so embarrassed because I think I've just kind of become that pejorative almost like drifting into that, oh God, the dad rock dude. He's still listening to that first Boston record and Dark
Well, you
Side
could
of
be
the
that.
Moon.
You could be that dude that reels off like a couple of like, hey, what are your favorite new bands? And you could reel off like a couple of bands that have been around like 20 years. That's a good one too. When you go, hey man, you like any new bands? And then guy like reels off bands that have been around for
Yeah.
fucking, you know,
Yeah, bring
3
me the
decades.
horizon. Right.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Relatively new. It's relatively new.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of.
I-
Hey, here's one for you. Mask Sanity asks, forgive me if this was asked. Did working with WCW on the Rising video have anything to do with getting to know Chris Jericho?
Yes, Diamond Dallas Page, who was the principal architect of putting all the pieces together for the Rising video, introduced me to Chris Jericho backstage at a wrestling event, and that's when I met him for the first time. So it was the connection, because when I met Chris, he said, "Hey, I wanted to come backstage and talk to you after the Stuck Mojo show, but I was afraid you didn't know who I was." And I was like, "Dude, I was a huge Chris Jericho fan." So, yeah. So yeah, that was the direct connection.
Yeah. Cool. What else? What
Yeah,
else?
R.I.P. Keith Flint. I
What was
love
the
Keith Flint
scary-
so much.
What was the scariest show he's played? You ever play a scary show?
Yeah, we played a place down in Jacksonville, Florida called Spike's Doghouse on the beach. And it was a clubhouse for a local skinhead gang. So there was like 100 white power skinheads that Nazi saluted us through the whole set. And at the top, and
with
we
our
had,
black,
you know,
with our black singer, right? Oh,
and black
shit.
bass player. Yeah. Yeah. And it was like, it just made us play harder. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't at that point of my life. I realized that in order to leave without being murdered, you just play hard. Like, it's like Rocky and Rocky 4. You want the Russians to respect you? Fight harder. Let's go. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, what other options do you have? I'm not going to convince him that half of my band are their brothers. Like, at some point, you earn people's respect not by the things that you say, but by your work. And if you work hard on stage and you freaking throw down and you let them know, hey, I don't respect your politics, but you did pay the $15 to get in, so I'm still going to give you a show.
Yeah.
And we played shows in Europe, same kind of thing. We played in Austria. The crowd turned their backs to us, spit on us. Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of weird shows. I had a guy in Germany one time yell "Schwarz" at our black. It's like it's black. Yeah, in German.
Schwarz.
Yeah, Schwarz.
It's
Yeah,
just black.
and it was.
Schwarz.
Yeah, listen. It's part of it. I always tell people, they're like, "You're from the South, man. It's racist." I was like, racism is everywhere. It's just people, good people, bad people, good cops, bad cops, good musicians, bad musicians.
Have you struggled being saddled with being like a Southern band and sort of having the like Confederate flag imagery like turn up from time to time, like with Stuck Mojo? Has that been a struggle, like Southern identity, like for the band?
I think just because the South has a lot to answer for, you know, but 150 years ago, you know, it's like the thing that most people who haven't spent a lot of time in the South don't realize is that the South was integrated before the Northeast or before the Midwest, because listen, the South had all the slaves, and guess what? We just moved into each other's neighborhoods. Like, my neighborhood is super mixed and always has been. Like, I never went to an all-white school. I always went to mixed schools, and I feel like I never knew what racism was because I never really met any racists. Like, nobody I knew. I mean, I've heard people use the N-word before, but I never heard people use it in a way that was directed towards a person. I just heard it used as a slang. I have had people in other countries, and yeah, man, I mean, there's occasional, like I said, I had the freaking, you know, the 100 guys who were Zeke Heiling us, but I don't think that's the average thing. I think people are people, and the older I get, I just realize that I even went through a period of time where I had this like thought form after 9/11 about Muslims, because, you know, like, you're reacting to a major event, and I don't, you know, there aren't a lot of Arabs and Muslims that lived in my neighborhood, so I didn't have a lot of exposure to that culture. And I started forming opinions based on 9/11. And now I've had so many experiences, and I've just realized that the Muslim culture is such an incredibly welcoming and incredible culture. And I think that's what most of this stuff just comes from ignorance. Like, we just not around people. Like, why do you not like this person? Well, you've just never met anybody. You just never sat down and broke bread with them. And that's where your differences
Well,
are.
you're a little bit of a worldly person at this point.
Yeah.
You know, you've from the last time we hung out 30 years ago now.
Yeah.
30 years ago, you and I did some great work together. And I said it before, it really makes me happy that you've gone on to being a career musician. It really, you know, it's interesting, people that we come across in our journey, and who, like Alago, for instance. You know, I made the film about Alago, and you know, when I first started talking to Alago just had this inherent love for music, right? And
Yeah.
like that I really related to, and sort of it kind of hit me between the eyes, like I got it. Like I got it early on with Alago, like his story, who he is, and how I could relate to it. I totally understand who that was, and that was a big part of it. Hold on. Is there any funny stories around recording "Raise the Dead Man"? Is that?
Yeah, that was on the Declaration of a Headhunter record. The band was completely fractured at that point. I wrote the whole record, all the lyrics, everything myself, because I didn't want to include Bones, because we had been in a fist fight. Like, it was like we weren't a band anymore. We were musicians making a record together, and we were trying to coexist, but it was difficult. It was my favorite Stuck Mojo record to listen back to, but I think only partly because we learned how to work in the studio more. You know, it's like all of a sudden you're taking all this wealth of experience. Every record that you make, you realize the mistakes on this record that you made on the last ones, and you're like, okay, here's what I won't do the next time. I'll focus in more on getting energy on it, and not focusing in on just trying to make precise things, like trying to capture. Oh man, it's like, so it's always a process, and I felt like that record was the time that I was able to take all of that knowledge, and I was doing it with Andy Sneap. Andy Sneap, one of the greatest metal producers that has ever existed, and been in part of our clique of. I mean, he's playing guitar for Judas Priest now, and has produced so many incredible metal bands. And it was an honor to work with him. So again, such an education. Working with Daniel Bergstrand, I did 2 records with Rick Beato. Like, I've just done so much. And I'm so blessed. And
The Sneap sound.
Yeah, the Sneap sound. It's like he's the greatest. Like, to this point, I even the last Stuck Mojo record I did in 2015, right before we did our reunion show, I did with Andy. And you always just forget. You know, it's like anything. It's like with a little distance, once you've gotten and rekindled with somebody, you forget how good somebody is. And he just knows. He just is incredible. And he's one of those great producer engineers who's not going to try to tell you that you're wrong. He will help to guide you a little bit, like a good coach will kind of help to shape it. But he knows this is your record. You're the artist. I'm just going to try to capture the energy of the moment.
Hey, who produced the Fozzy Judas record on Century Media?
A guy named Johnny Andrews. And Johnny Andrews.
That record sounds goddamn good, man. Are you happy with that record? The way that sounds?
I love that record. I love it. Yeah.
That record sounds goddamn electric. That record sounds good, man. Good sounding record.
Thank you. Johnny is an incredible producer. He's done all of the last 3 Fozzy records. And he's one of those guys that collaborates. He's like Mutt Lange or Bob Rock, that his job is more to integrate into the band. to be part of the process, and as opposed to just a fader pusher.
Sure.
He's very involved in how the songs are being crafted. He's early in on the songwriting process, and I love that.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
You like when a producer gets in there and starts pulling everything apart?
Yeah, if it's a producer I trust.
Yeah.
It's like being in a band. You know, if John Lennon doesn't trust his bandmates, then it's not the Beatles.
Sure.
And I think that's for any of us, is that you surround yourself with people you trust and they understand the vision, and they're not going to try to pull you too far away from who you are. But like a good coach can help get the best version of yourself. Because it's so many times where, as a musician, you want to do something because it suits your preferences. But your preferences aren't always what's best for Fozzy's album. Like, this is 5 dudes, and you have a coach that's trying to help make this album based on a collective. And one guy has an idea and he's waving his hand, and it's up to the producer to say, I love your idea. Save it for your solo record. This is a Fozzy record. Look at how we need to do this. And I love people who can help me, especially as you get older. You know, you don't have those same youthful instincts. You don't have, you're not staying out till 4 a.m. and mixing it up and being crazy, and like all of those things that stimulate all of these incredible, I don't know, these instincts in you that make you write these incredible records. That's when those things go, they make you a happier person because you're more level. But all of a sudden, you've lost the stimuli that made you this great. That's the reason why I think Rick Rubin is so good for these bands. It's like, hey, go listen to Master of Puppets. You need to remember the James Hetfield that wrote that record. What was the headspace you were in? Who is that guy? What happened? I know you're picking out the type of wood that you want to use for your ranch fencing. But at some point, if you want to keep making an album, you have to concentrate on making a great record, or don't do it. Just be a legacy artist and play the shit that everybody liked that you did when you were a kid. And that's what I want to do. I still want to be that kid. And my wife and I never had kids. Like, I know that there's going to be nobody to wipe the drool off my lip when I get older. I've screwed up. I'm never going to teach little Jimmy how to throw a baseball.
I haven't reproduced. No one's going to wipe my ass for me.
No, I like little Johnny will never have someone to teach him how to fish. I messed up. Okay. But what I did do is I maintained being one of Peter Pan's Lost Boys. I get up when I feel like it.
Listen,
I do.
Me and Lori know your whole crew, man. We know all your buddies, bro, in Never Neverland over here, up here in New York. We got a whole bunch of our buddies that are part of your crew.
Yeah.
It's important. It's important. And I'm so thankful that I have friends that had kids, and they're great parents, and I'm envious. I love watching that. I just know that my path is too selfish. I know that my path has no room to be responsible for the well-being of another human being. I'm not. I can't.
I don't think that that's selfish, though. I think that's just self-realization and knowing. It's more selfish to just have somebody so that they can wipe your ass at the end of your life.
Well, and the other thing is too, is like, it's like having a child helps you take you out of your own narcissist. Like, it's so easy to just only think about yourself when it only is down to yourself. You get up, you worry about yourself. What do I want to eat? What do I want to do? Like, I only have to be accountable for me. And it can help. Having children can help take away you being so self-centered, because it allows you the opportunity to realize it ain't about you. It's
self-aware that you're selfish. I'm self-aware that I'm selfish. Good one, Eggs.
No, I think it's
leave it to Eggs. Good one.
I think it's good when people make that conscious decision. They realize it, and then they just say, "Nope, this is not for me." They're not pressured by society and stuff like that. They just, I think it's good.
And I had a good dad, but I had a great dad. But what I mean by that was he was a great dude. He was never around.
Yeah.
Like, I never saw him. He never took me to a baseball game. Like, people want to rewrite history, but I remember the 6 years in a row that he didn't call me on my birthday.
Yeah.
And I know that emptiness shaped who I am as an artist. I also know that we repeat the sins of the father.
Yes.
And I knew that I wasn't going to be a good dad. I may have been when I was around, but guess what? I always would have found a reason to not be around.
Yeah.
Listen, there's nothing that we go through in this life that we can't pertain to a Star Trek episode. And in this particular instance, I would say it's like that episode where you can't go back and change one thing. Because if you go back to the past and change one little thing, then we wouldn't be here right now.
Right.
And
Amen.
I
Amen.
like that we're here right now.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that we're here right now.
Yeah.
So I've learned to sort of embrace some of the shortcomings that have happened in my life and some of the challenging aspects, because they were a very big part of what shaped me and put me on the road and the trajectory to get to this point. That said, Rich, is there anybody you want to thank? Is there anybody you want to shout out? Thank you so much for being on the show.
No, it was my privilege. And I just want to thank you and Lori for your time. I love having these conversations, and I always like to have an opportunity to speak with somebody who has been so instrumental in helping my career get to where it is, because this is a team sport. And Drew, you were such an important part of my journey. And the fact that you brought Alago on, who was such an important piece of the second chapter of my life. And, again, I've kind of turned into a bit of this Forrest Gump thing, where I've just kind of made myself available to say yes, when the ping pong tournament was there, or when I just start running. I've just learned to just every day is a blessing, and don't take myself too seriously, realizing I didn't cure any cancer, I didn't feed any starving kids. I do know that my role in life right now is to do everything that I can to give people 2 hours of the best that I can, to give them some happiness, the same happiness that when I saw Ozzy Osbourne at the Charlotte Coliseum gave me, the same happiness that Judas Priest on the Defenders of the Faith tour gave me. And when I've had a chance to meet some of my heroes, and I've opened for all of them, I've shared bills with everybody, and I've met all of my heroes, and they've all been gracious and nice people. And it's made my life feel like it's had purpose. And I'm just, again, I'm glad I had a chance to speak with you, because I wanted to be able to say thank you to you, and also to apologize to you. It meant a lot to me. And
I just want to say, I love you, and I'm proud of you, Rich.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I'm so proud of you that you've gone on to have a vibrant career in music. It means a lot to me personally, because, a lot of people, as in our journey back then, didn't make it and didn't make it in the music business, and didn't make it in the film business. And so it really makes me happy when I see an old friend sort of still here and still doing it and still bringing joy to people. So I commend you on that, my old friend.
That's our purpose. Wonder Twin powers activate.
Hey, and we're going to be working together. You and me, Chris, Alago, Milt. It's coming down to the wire. It's going to be announced. I'm directing another film. It's a big one, and Chris and Rich and Alago and a lot of people are going to be involved in it. So you'll come back soon, Rich. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so privileged to even be even part of that conversation.
Thanks, man. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Sounds good. Have a great day, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.
Wow, that was great.
Nice guy.
Great.
Good guy.
We all need a little bit of positivity, that energy,
100%.
Yeah, that was really
100%.
cool.
And listen, anybody else out there that, you want to work it on out, come on to the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and we'll sort it out.
Yeah, this is a good one today. Chat room was fun too. So thanks everyone.
Good. Hey, Danny. Hey, what's up, Danny? This was a great show. Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Danny. Yeah. Heggs, good to see you, man. Yeah, great guy. Absolutely. Absolutely. Drew is the Vince Lombardi and John Madden put together of hardcore. That's kind of cool. I'll take that. I don't mind being a little bit of the Vince Lombardi of it at this stage of the game. So that said, everybody, listen, we got a couple of days until the Weep Fest coming up this Sunday. We're going to try to hold it together. There's no crying in hardcore unless you're a skinhead. So
come with your memories, you know, share your memories, and yeah, it'll be nice.
Yeah.
It'll be a good day.
Ooh, I got a couple days to prepare for that. Tear jerker. Rest in peace, Lou Kohler. We'll see everybody for the show on Sunday. So
Yes.
good one. All right, I'll talk to you in a bit, Lori. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
That's what's up. Thanks a lot, everybody. Good to see everybody. Good to interact with everybody. My family, my people, my loved ones. Thanks a lot. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to do something that I love so much. We will see you soon. We will see you soon. Until next time, you know what's up. Do good things, the good things will come to you.
Conditioned by indoctrination, conditioned by society. You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty.